Sorry, Briggs, we're going to interrupt this video for a hug. Greetings from a chilly summer's day in Reykjavik. I've got the iconic church just behind me here, and everybody I've spoken to about this, about hey, I'm on the way to Iceland, I'm really excited. One of the first things that everybody always turns around to me and says is, oh, I'm dying to go to Iceland, that's on my bucket list. And what I want to talk to you about in this video is why I'm working through things on my bucket list and you're not. So why aren't you going? In fact, I want you to think for a second. Do you have a bucket list? Have you ever said to somebody, oh, that's on my bucket list? Let me ask you this. How many things on your bucket list have you done? And then let me ask you this. Do you have a bucket list? You see, here's the problem that I think you have with your bucket list is you don't actually have one. You've never taken the time to write something down. Saying something is on your bucket list is like seeing a friend, bumping into a friend at the shops and saying, hey, we should totally catch up for dinner. You both know you're never going to catch up to dinner because it's just like an affectation. It's like something you said, you put out there, hey, we should totally catch up. Yeah, I'll give you a shout and we'll catch up for dinner. If you want to catch up for dinner, you take out your diary there and then you send a mail and you schedule an appointment. And if you say to somebody, hey, I want to do that, that's got to be on my bucket list, you open up a list and you add something to the list. You add it to your bucket list. And that's what I've done. So my very first video, and I'll link to it here, I was speaking about a guy called Warren Rustand. So I was lucky enough 2 years ago to go on EO's Global Leadership Academy. And one of the guys who ran the program was a man by the name of Warren Rustand, a truly remarkable man that you must look up if you've not heard of him. And Warren told me, in fact, I was lucky enough, the first time I met him was we were speaking together at a conference in Houston. And at this conference, he turned around and he said, hey, I've lived a remarkable life. I've worked with multiple presidents in the White House. I've run billion-dollar companies. I've done all of these things. But the reason he's done them, he said, is when I was 20 years old, I sat down and I wrote down a list of 100 things that I wanted to do in my life. And he wrote down this list and he said, I'm going to pass it around the room, have a look. And sure enough, this kind of file of pieces of like almost yellowed pages were going around. It's one of those flip file folder things. And he was sent it around the room and we all had a look, and sure enough, there was this list of things to do, play professional basketball, tick, work in the White House, tick, all of these crazy things. And I remember being inspired by it, but it was only really when I was with him in DC that he encouraged us all to sit there and to live lives of intention. And so I say, well, write down the stuff you want to do. If there's something you want to do in your life, put it to paper. One of the things on my list was visit Iceland in summer. And so when I was thinking plans for my wife's birthday and what we were going to do, that item on my list came up. And I only put this list together last year, but already take the family to Scotland has been done. See the Toronto Maple Leafs play at home has been done. Recently, a couple of weeks ago, at Afri-Ski, I landed one of my snowboarding ones, which was to land a 360 off a kicker. And these are things that have been on my list, but because they're on my list, I've become intentional. And I think, by the end of this year, I'll have a whole bunch more checks. I want to do 100 double unders with a jump rope. I want to have a year of month upon month health improvements. And there are certain things that I put in place that I measure myself against on a daily basis with my New Day's resolution to make sure that I'm working towards ticking things off my list. And here's the cool thing. The one thing I've realized is one of them is to build like a 100 million rand business, and another one is to solve a Rubik's Cube. But when I die, when I'm looking back at my life, I'm not going to measure which ones I ticked off and say, but that one was important. I'm going to just measure how many things on my list have I done. So if I've done 80 out of 100, that's a good list. Warren, he says he's done just over 90 on his list. And there's a few more he'll still be able to do, and there's some that'll physically be impossible now. But like when he looks back at his life, he's done 90 of the things he set out to do when he was 18 years old. How many have you done? When the problem is that you haven't written it down. And that's what I want to implore you. Right now, I want you to sit down and look and to create a bucket list. I want you to create a list of, let's start with 5 things that I want you to leave in the comments of this video. A public commitment. Leave it on Facebook or on YouTube or wherever you see it. I want to see 5 things you want to add to your list. It could be travel related, it could be health related, it could be, one of the other ones for me this year was write a presentation book. I wanted a presentation company for 21 years. I put it off, but it was on my list. I was like, to hell with it. I'm going to write the book. I was on a speaking tour. I had some time, so I sat down on my lunches and I wrote the book. I want you to be intentional, because if you live a life of intention, if you have things that you're working towards, you'll get shit done. The reason you're not ticking things off on your bucket list is you don't actually have the list. Remedy that. Peace.
Okay. Yo, my name is Shailen. Thanks for watching the Get Rich Quick show. If you like it, hit the like button, and if you want to watch more, please subscribe. Thank you.